How can I assist?
Yeah, it's time for like text to speech to have like a announcement based with our own voice.
That would be
Ooh, yeah.
nice.
Yeah, input
Our
text,
cloud
please.
text to speak.
Yeah. No, we've been talking to somebody that might want to donate their voice to be the voice of Home Assistant.
Yeah.
I guess
The
we are live.
voice.
The
Yeah, we are.
voice.
The default.
Well, the default voice, right? I mean, whatever. All right, are we ready?
Never.
We are live.
Always. I mean.
All right. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah. Welcome to the Home Assistant release party for the Home Assistant release 2023.2, which means it's February. It means we've done a second release, and it's an awesome one. Like it's more awesome than like we had expected. Like we we thought it was just going to be kind of slow, January slow starting, and then I guess not. So
I was so surprised as I read the release notes on the beta, because that was all new.
yes,
Yes.
a lot.
I mean,
And we did
so nice-
January, right? We didn't
Yeah.
even skip January. So like,
so nice
how?
feature, but it's so less noise about that features.
The word epic has been thrown around a bit. Could call it the Gilgamesh release, since it's epic.
Yeah. All right. So before we jump in, let's do a quick round of introductions for the people that are for the first time tuning in. My name is Paulus. I'm the founder of Home Assistant.
Oh, no, my name is Frank. And yeah, I run around the Home Assistant project and developing and all kinds of stuff and do releases as well. So if you read the release notes, that's me writing to you.
Yeah, I'm Pascal. I was the founder of the operating system. Nowadays, I'm more in the background.
Mike Hansen, founder of Raspy, and recently joined Nambugasa for Year of Voice. So I'm the voice guy.
You're the voice, right? But not the voice, but
Not the voice, but
the voice. Yeah. Oh,
The
it's
assist.
getting confusing here.
Yeah. All right. So I actually have a bunch of demos not related to the release that I kind of want to wrap in at the end.
Of course.
So, but anyway, let's, where do we want to start? Like, do we start with something from the release? Do we start with voice? I mean, we had for the people that have missed it, we did a voice stream last Thursday, and we announced our new feature, Assist, which is our start at building our own voice assistant. So right now it's only doing text recognition of natural language. We support 22 languages from the start. And with the release of today, all the different parts have been released. So you can update your iOS app, you can update your Android app, you can update Home Assistant, and you should be all good to go. The only thing that's still missing is the Mac app. The Mac app is still waiting for approval. For the iPhone app, you need to go to the App Store. It's doing a slow rollout. So in 7 days, everybody will have it. Right now, you can trigger it. I mean, should we just show some Assist, Mike?
yeah, sure.
Just
I mean,
drop in. It's the
We're not
biggest
gonna
feature.
repeat all the demos from last week, because like, if you want to see all the Assist features, definitely check out the last week's stream. It's like 45 minutes. There's also a blog post with a bunch of demos, small YouTube videos. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mike,
it's
how do
all
you wanna
linked
do
in the release notes as well. So if you're looking for those links, I will post a link to last week's installment on YouTube. But yeah,
Yeah.
Sure, I'll show just a quick thing. I got my screen shared. How do I get this?
Oh, Frank can put it in.
Yeah. There we go. Okay, so I got a second camera here, so you can see my watch here. So this is a Pixel Watch, Google Pixel Watch, and behind it is my demo, a Home Assistant instance with a bunch of demo entities. I'm just going to show real quick. So what's happening here is you can type stuff up in the assist box here, so you can do things like, turn off bed light, and it will go ahead and do that for you. But as other people have said, if you can just click the dashboard, you probably wouldn't do that. But this is a foundation for the voice part, which, oops, on the other monitor. Which in here, I have the assist tile. Can anybody see that? It's a little bright.
Cool.
What's it doing? Oh no.
That's the live demo, right?
This is a live demo. Normally you can talk to this, but I must have. Oh, I deleted the config. I was resetting my entities because I added 1,000 entities to test. So give me a moment. I'll come back to do it.
It's at least well tested, right?
Yeah,
1,000
so-
entities.
We were working on performance, and so I wanted to add a ton of entities to make sure that it was able to handle that level. I'll do 2 more things, and then I can come back later if we need to. What you can do is
I can do a demo otherwise from the watch if you
okay.
or whatever.
So you can affect areas as well. So I can say, turn on lights in the bedroom, and it'll turn on all the lights. So here we have the ceiling and the bed light. You can set light colors and brightness, and I'll just demo. I have a custom sentence set up as well. So if you go into the YAML, you can add your own sentences. So I added one that would trigger an automation. So I can do engage stealth mode, and it'll shut off everything, close all the doors and all that stuff. So this is kind of an example of what you can do with the default sentences and what you can do with the custom sentences.
Right. The custom sentences are going to be super cool, right? Because you can do whatever you want and have Home Assistant respond to that. So that's going to be super exciting because, with Home Assistant, we're all about personalization. You should be able to have technology shaped to how you want it, and you shouldn't have to adapt to technology. So with these customizations, we can see a lot of cool stuff coming as well.
I think that's perfect for the Hobbit house.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, we should get Dr. Z's there,
Yeah.
customize the setup.
Like a Lord of the Rings setup. Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. All right. We have some other demos. We have like integration with like Siri and like iPhone and Mac, but maybe we'll do that later because we have some other voice related integrations in this release that we can just kind of demo when we get there. So yeah, if you
Okay.
definitely want to check it out, it's all live now. It's gonna be cool.
All right. Where do you want to go?
I don't know. Release notes? I
Yeah,
think, let's do a little bit.
let's do a little.
When was the release tagged, by the way? Is it already present?
So I was just watching the build, and it's doing the final stuff for Docker. Otherwise, every other release is already available. So if you're running supervised or Home Assistant operating system or like just core in Python, then it's available, and Docker should be available in a couple of minutes too. So the release has been tagged an hour ago or something,
Nice.
right?
It's
always the
actually
main
like,
question.
it's cool. Like that, the new update feature in Home Assistant is so cool because now it already pops up.
I haven't updated yet, so
Yeah.
if I'm showing something, it will be beta.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
If for the people that are not on Home Assistant operating system, you're missing out because you can actually see all your updates that are available and just click, boom, install. Which
And make update.
is a nice
Yeah,
little
back.
segue into what else you can update with this release, which is that for Home Assistant operating system and Home Assistant supervised installations, people that use ESP Home and use the ESP Home add-on, we now offer discovery. And this means that the add-on will tightly integrate into Home Assistant. So the first thing that it does here is you can already see this is a Bluetooth proxy that I have installed through our website. We have a Bluetooth proxy website installer. I've plugged it into Home Assistant. I've set it up. I've in the ESP Home dashboard, I've adopted it. And now through Home Assistant, I will be able to update it. So this does require right now a dev version of ESP Home. So right now, if you see this today in your Home Assistant installation, you will not, the install button will be grayed out. In 2 weeks, new ESP Home version will come out, and you will be able to also update right here from Home Assistant, as I'm showing right now. But it's really cool. This means it will be super easy to get your ESP Home updated, running the latest versions. This doesn't only pull in new ESP Home versions, but if you, for example, the Bluetooth proxy relies on a configuration file that is on GitHub. If that file gets updated with new features, new versions, it will also pull that in here. And so you will be able to, same with like, for example, the Everything Presence 1 sensor. If Lewis pushes an update, you will also be able to install that here through the updates in Home Assistant. So
Oh, that's cool.
it's super easy to stay up to date.
That's cool. That I didn't know. That's nice.
It does. I do think that we will not show you that a update is available when the YAML updates, but it will show you, the next time an ESP Home version is updated, it will pull it in.
Cool. I think this feature is really cool. I updated my dev instance over my production instance, and I found like 14 devices that I haven't updated recently. Like I was presented a huge list. It's kind of nice. Some ones I haven't updated in months, and I don't know why actually. So
I mean, once you have so many, it will be hard to like kind of keep track, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I know why, because I was needed to go to the ESP Home dashboard and then click update, which was just too much work. And now it's just one list, I can press over the list. I mean, why update is there's no reason, but now I see the information and just can press update.
Right.
and it's an update entity, so you can automate with it as well, right? So you can like trigger notifications if there's an update available, or maybe even do like, I don't know, automatic patch releases updates in the night, or depending on the device, when it can reboot or restart in this case. That's kind of
a
cool.
nice idea.
Yeah.
The other thing that we've done, ESP Home has made 2 more changes in Home Assistant. Because we can talk to the dashboard and we can push updates, also means that we can get your encryption key. So that means that you obviously should, when you configure ESP Home, you should add an encryption key so that all communication between Home Assistant and your ESP Home devices is encrypted. We use a very low CPU one called noise encryption. It's also used by WireGuard. And right now what happens is the moment that you set it up in Home Assistant, it will automatically fetch the encryption key from your ESP Home dashboard. And so you're not copy pasting keys over, you don't even have to remember it, it's just done. It also means that if you are today being like, oh, I should really add an encryption key, that's a good thing you were saying there, Paulus. If you add an encryption key on your dashboard and you install it on your ESP Home device, Home Assistant will automatically pick it up when it sees it cannot connect. So you don't have to reconfigure anything in Home Assistant, it will just automatically work.
About the API password, like you just said, I have a screenshot of how it looks now. If we detect you're currently using an old API password, we will raise a repair this release.
Right, so API password was the old way of ESP Home of like protecting the API, which it worked, but because you are not protecting the API with encryption, it means that you would have to send that password again and again and again. So the encryption key now with encryption, it's both a password / like secure communication channel. So API passwords should not be used anymore. And so we are, to help people with that, this release, besides the dashboard integration, will also tell people to do so.
Yeah, it's like HTTPS.
Yeah, basically it is. I had to update all my devices. I haven't used the encryption key. I'm not sure why, but still have
Just see a question here from Danny. Is it still better to update the Bluetooth proxy by cable? This only had to be done once. So because the partition table had to be rewritten to be optimized for Bluetooth proxy caching on the ESP side. So only one time you had to update by cable after the December release. So if you've done that once, right now you can just over the air and you should be fine.
It was also work over the air, but then it just not get the improvements.
Right, yeah. When you did over the air, we cannot change the caching, the partition, and we could not create a caching partition. And the caching partition is used to store how a device looks. So whenever we find a Bluetooth device, it does like, hey, which properties do you have? And that's actually being cached. So it's not, that makes just the initial connection faster each time. So whenever you connect to a device, it can save like 10 seconds or something.
I see some questions pop up on how did you get the key for ESP Home, the security key. I'm not sure on the context of the question. So there could be two things. If you have this pop up for the API password, you need to edit the configuration for that device in ESP Home, remove the password part under API, and add an encryption key under the API part, which is documented in the API component documentation of ESP Home. And it will also show a little, the ESP Home website will generate a unique key for you every time, or you can create your own one. Right.
So you set your encryption key here under API. If you're just looking for your encryption key, you can actually go here, show API key. Don't worry, this is not a production device.
Well, to generate one, you have to go to the website, right? So maybe you can
On the
add
website, you
help
can
in the
generate
future.
one, but new devices are, if you go to the wizard, it will automatically
generate
generate a device now.
Okay.
So let's say you're creating ESP32, it will actually tell your encryption key here. It will be copied to your, but
cool.
here, if you look in the edit, it's also there. So
And the
Makes
cool
sense,
part
yeah.
is because the Home Assistant and the ESP Home add-on, the dashboard that are running, are now communicating with each other. As soon as you make this change for one of your existing devices, Home Assistant will go like, hey, wait a second, I cannot connect to this device anymore. And will generate a reauthorization, like on your integrations dashboard. You can reconfigure your device. And as soon as you click that, it will actually update your device automatically over that connection it has. So it will fetch your encryption key over the internal connection that is between the add-on and Home Assistant to just do it for you. So you don't have to add or copy anything at all.
API keys are not required. They're just recommended. So, yeah, highly recommended. So we make them the default. We make sure that they work in Home Assistant out of the box, so you don't really have to pay attention to it. Right.
And there's another little feature in this ESP Home, in the next ESP Home release, that Home Assistant already prepared for, right? That's the friendly name.
Yes.
What does that do, actually? Like,
So
it is...
in Home Assistant, we have this new naming approach we introduced like a couple of releases ago. I would say 5 months, 4 months, something like this, last year. And what it does is you give devices a name, and then the entity doesn't have to contain a device name anymore, but the entity only has to have the name of what the entity actually describes of the device. Now, ESP Home used to not have this, so everybody was always injecting their device name inside the entity name. And with the next release, it will be possible to not do that. So you just pass in a friendly name. ESP Home will communicate this to Home Assistant. Home Assistant, when necessary, will show the device name in combination with the entity name. But for example, on the device info page, it will cut off the device name. It used to do that automatically with like some string cutting and search and replace, which was really fragile, and renaming really sucked. And so this is no longer the case. This is all going to be better. And the best thing, where it's actually what this feature is unlocking for us, is that because entities can have very specific names like temperature, humidity, and we now also have a language on the Home Assistant side. So in a future release later this year, we're going to make it possible for people to translate entity names. So integrations can say, this is temperature. Oh, you're doing it in Dutch or French or whatever. We can actually already name that entity in your language. So this will also definitely help with voice, because you'll refer to things by name. It also means your entity IDs are in your language, and so it's all in all a better experience.
It also means that I don't have to, like in ESP Home itself, for each sensor I make, I have like this substitution with the device name, and then I use a template for each like sensor I have with like the device name and then the name I give to that sensor.
Right, yeah,
that's no longer
all
needed.
gone.
That's
It's
no
all
longer
gone.
needed, right?
Everything is a lot more simple.
Right. So I can get rid of all those substitutions then. That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Right.
All right.
I think
so.
That's
a
it
lot
for
of
ESP Home.
But
Yeah, it is.
But it's all in Home Assistant, right? So this is the cool part. It's like we're making it more tighter integrated.
This is actually just a screenshot from my home system. That's how it looked for me. Like tons of updates available and installing it. So it's one of my personal favorite features Besides all the voice stuff that is just really interesting, but this is just, I don't know. I love ESP
Yeah.
Home.
It's a long time of my wish list that it's more integrated into Home Assistant with all the new cool features which we have, like the update entities. That's really cool.
Yep. All right. Oh, let's stick with this one directly. So this release, we are adding sensor groups.
Boom.
You can now group your sensors. Groups. That was March last year, I believe. April.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, April last year, we added groups to the UI, which was a big deal. And now we're adding sensors to it, which has been requested quite a bit. So this is actually a little bit of an odd one. What it can do is you can group, obviously, sensors, but you can also add like number entities and input helpers, like number helpers, input numbers, they're called in YAML. They can combine those all into like a total or an average or a min or a max.
It
That might sound-
replaced some helpers, right?
Yeah, it does. So we have been playing with the min-max helper lately. A couple of releases back, we renamed it even to combine sensors. And after that release, we were like, "But hey, why the heck isn't this just a group?" So that's what has been done. It's now a group. It's basically a copy of the min-max helper that already existed, but it does some things a little bit different. It's an improved version. And we're looking into moving everything from the old min-max into the sensor groups for the future. Ouch. Everything still okay? Yeah. So sensor groups.
So the PR and just so that make total sense. Why do you have all the helper, which at the end is just a group sensor and calculate some things out of it?
Yeah. What is cool about the group sensor is that you can like hide the members, which groups can do, right? So if you combine a couple, you could hide the members for in case of total. But also it can decide if it should skip members if they're unavailable, yes or no. So for example, if you add two values like 2 meters of your electricity, then if one isn't available, then the total value would be weird. So you probably don't want to calculate at that point. But if you're calculating an average of all your temperature sensors in your home and one is missing, that is not a big deal. So you can actually toggle the feature now where it says, well, skip in case they're unknown values, like I don't care that much, or, well, it is important to have all of them in the calculation. And if one is missing, then please don't calculate a value. I think that's a really cool feature to have, which is something the sensor group does and min-max doesn't have. So.
Yeah, so it's going to be super easy to just say, I want to track the average temperature of the ground floor or the whole house or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. No more YAML in this regard. That's kind of nice, right? That's just click. I like to be able to click it, even though I like YAML. This is just convenience.
So the sensor group allows like number entities and stuff.
Mhm.
Should we add like input boolean to the switch group? Is that like,
Maybe.
right? Like, I mean, I saw that actually in the comments now. Somebody's asking. It's like, yeah.
I believe we initially were held back a bit by doing such mashups because especially with, well, for switches, it might be okay, I guess.
No, yeah, we definitely
And-
don't want clashes and stuff, right? Like that was the old groups. It would just group whatever came in.
Yeah, try to something.
Yeah.
Can you group
It's
a
not
group?
bind to a domain. I mean,
You
Sensor.
can group.
Cool.
Yeah. So what a group does actually is if you create for example, a binary sensor group, it creates a new binary sensor, right? It's just another binary sensor, and you could put that into a group if you wanted to. So
Right.
yes, that would work.
Oh, interesting. A person group I also see in the comments. That's actually so you can just check the children. You can check the adults.
The person group has, I've looked at that one actually. That has a problem because the person group actually doesn't know anything. It's the devices underneath it.
Mm.
That's the thing. So there was a
Person
complication.
is already a group. Right.
Yeah, that's it. Person
that-
is effectively a group.
I guess you could create a new person and toggle include all the devices that are like part of the people you want to track.
Yeah, maybe.
Right.
Right. So, groups, or groups.
Yeah, just this one. Somebody's asking, where is the group dialog? If you're in, let me just share my screen.
Yep.
Um,
Oh, come.
if you're in Home Assistant, and that looks like this, then if you go to helpers, so device and service, helpers, create helper, and then there's group. And here's your groups. Now, if you go to integrations and you click on add integration and you search for group, you'll also find it and it says helper. And so you get through the same flow. So
Yeah.
there they are.
And if you go to the documentation on each page, there's like a big button in the top right that says like add integration,
Oh, yeah,
which is also for groups, which will work as well. So
Yeah.
many ways.
Yes. All right. What
I
are we
got
gonna
one.
do?
I got one that I want to show live. Actually, I got one demo, which I'm going to show.
Do it.
Good luck.
Do it. Well, this one is easy actually. This is my my home, and I have a little tab which I use for today for the release notes. So I kept it. Here it is. Looks a bit stretched, by the way, because there's a vertical stack stretched over a single display. So it was for making screenshots, but this is actually new. This is streaming history.
Yes.
Yes, which is really nice, actually. The right side is my kitchen coffee maker, which somehow right now peaks and drops a little every time. I don't know why. And on the left side is my total home consumption. And these graphs are now live. So I got a little electric heater here. Let me turn it on.
Do-do-do-dum.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Boom. This is very energy efficient, what I'm doing now.
It
25.
takes the full amps, right?
There we go. But this is live. So that's cool, right?
Yeah, so this means any graph you have that is based on the state, not the one that is based on statistics, will be live.
Yeah.
The ones with statistics are also updated as soon as possible, but we only generate statistics every 5 minutes.
Indeed. There are some really cool side effects about this thing, which is even more important than this being live. And that's because what happened is that every, I believe, minute or so, these graphs would refresh, and then the whole graph all data would be refreshed and gathered from the database. To make those graphs then recent enough, we wrote to like disk and database all your states every second to make sure everything was updated. Such. So there were two things going on. We were writing to disk every second, and every time it was reloaded, we read all data from disk again from your database to gather and make those graphs, which is pretty inefficient. So what now happening is because we don't have to read anymore. Like the data is streamed and pushed as it happens live. So we don't have to refresh every minute to read it from disk, which also means that we no longer have to immediately store everything to disk. So what happens now is that we only save every 5 seconds to disk if needed, which means that we're doing 5 times less writes than before. And we also querying your system and putting less stress on your system for rendering those graphs. So there's a huge side effect here, which is longer SD card lifetimes, for example.
By the way, as you can see, what just happened on Frank's screen is that his graph on the left side, it adjusted the x-axis. So as the time continues, it will, this is like a time graph over a period of time, and so it will cut off all values as it gets new values in, and eventually it will also redraw the bottom axis to make sure it's aligned again.
Yep.
The coffee maker, is that over Home Connect, which you get the watts, or have you? I mean,
No, yeah, it is a Home Connect device, but I have just the ESP Home wall plug behind it, which I've modified, by the way, to update every second. For this demo, I would not recommend on doing that. Definitely not. Like having graphs updating so fast as happens here in this demo is definitely not a good idea. It just generates a ton of database storage and like data, right? And that's not needed. But for this demo, I thought it would be nice.
Yeah. Talking about plugs, I just got a new plug. I bought it from Amazon. It was announced Monday. I'm just gonna share it. It was announced on Monday. It's this. It is a TP-Link Tapo Mini Smart Wi-Fi plug. But what is really important is this logo, which you cannot really see. Let me just. It is the Matter logo. They should have picked the black on white one, not the white on black. So what does it mean? It means that this device connects through Matter. It is a Wi-Fi certified device, so it's not Thread, it's just Matter. And so I wanted to see, try it out with our Matter integration. So I bought it, I unboxed it, opened Home Assistant, went through the Matter panel, and it worked. So let me just share my screen. This is the Matter panel. If you have Matter open, let's configure. This is kind of gonna change. This is like super beta, like preview. But if you open this with your mobile phone, because that's what you need for adding a Matter device, because we're using the Bluetooth on your phone to communicate in the built-in integration by Google and Apple. So I opened this on an Android phone. I went to commission. It's kicked off the Google Flow, and boom, the device was added. So now this is Matter. So I can turn it off. I can also hardware-based. If I press the button, it will turn on, and you can see that the updates are pushed to Home Assistant as well. This plug is, I think, $20. So it's not too cheap. It's also not like, super, like it's just an okay price, I guess, for a TP-Link switch. But yeah, it's Matter. So I didn't install the TP-Link app. I didn't touch anything of TP-Link. I just have this device here. I scanned the QR code and boom, it's in Home Assistant. So that's, it's great. So it does not do energy monitoring, and that is because, and this is really silly, but Matter doesn't support it yet. So
Wait, what?
it is supposed to come this spring. This is like
okay.
the 1.1 release of Matter is coming out, and it will support energy monitoring. But I guess they really focus on the basics, and energy monitoring was not basic enough.
Numbers are hard.
Yeah, I mean it's all from, they copy the Zigbee spec over, right? But I guess they just want the scope a little bit smaller. So Jonathan is asking, what about the firmware updates of these Matter devices? This is possible for Matter devices. Manufacturers will be able to publish firmware updates into a decentralized database, not a blockchain. It's a decentralized. Yeah. Nowadays, everybody has like decentralized databases. It's not a blockchain, but it's like Google can host their version of the database for their devices. We will host our version for the Open Home for any open source project wants to use it. We don't implement that today yet, but we will, obviously. But we will be able to push updates as well to these devices. So firmware updates is done, communication is done. This is all local, of course. Data is instantly pushed to Home Assistant. And because this one is Matter over Wi-Fi, you don't even need a Thread radio, right? This is just, you need, right now, Matter runs in an add-on. So you need Home Assistant operating system, Home Assistant supervised, which most of you all are running already. So that's good. You can just add Matter, you add, and then when you get this plug, it just works. So for iOS to use Matter, you will need the latest Home Assistant companion app, which is rolling out today. The same with the Assist feature. But if you have the iOS app, if you have the Android app, which like I think Matter support was already released last month, so that's been live for a while. You can just pair this. This one is just generally available out of the box. Another one that a lot of people have been working with is the Eve Smart Plug, which I thought was somewhere on my desk too. That one actually also works, finally verified in this release. We thought it worked at the beginning of last release, but I was wrong. I said it during the stream, but we put out a hotfix to fix it, so that's good. Here's the Eve one. It's right here. I can pull out my Matter one, but then of course, well, it's not marked as unavailable right away. The Matter integration hasn't known it yet. It's actually quite small. If you put like, I don't know, it's the. So yeah, it's cool. That's the update on Matter. So if you want to try out Matter, today is a good day to try it out with the new release. We also, if you have been using Matter in the last month, we forgot to set our manufacturing ID to set to Nabukasa. And so it was using a test manufacturing ID, and we fixed that now, but it means you have to repair your test devices. Somebody's asking for the model number. Excellent question. It is, I'm just going to make sure it's the P125M. The M is very important. The P125 was a HomeKit version, and the P125M is the Matter version. And as far as I know, it's US only for now. Yeah. This one, Brandon, is there a way to set up a Matter device without using the mobile app? Yes, but we are not exposing it. So it is possible for the Matter server in Home Assistant to use the Bluetooth on the device that Home Assistant is running on to send the Wi-Fi or thread credentials to the device, get it on the network, put it in Home Assistant. The reason we have we're not exposing this to users right now is because we don't really have a QR code scanner, and that's kind of like the experience is poor. You need to really type in that number and send it to Home Assistant. The other thing is that you would have to send your Wi-Fi credentials because Home Assistant doesn't know those. Thread credentials, at least, we're going to be able to resolve soon. And then lastly, right now, because it uses Bluetooth and our Bluetooth integration in Home Assistant is not ready for that another application is talking at it as well. It means that the Bluetooth integration stops working. So we need to fix a bunch of stuff there to really make it available from Home Assistant, but we're not really sure if this is really worth the effort right now. I think there's a lot of stuff that still needs to be fixed about Matter, and commissioning from Home Assistant is just not a priority because the mobile apps work so well. And generally what you're going to do is that you're going to walk to where you're going to install a device. You might not be next to where you have your Home Assistant box, which could be inside your closet or all these kind of things.
Maybe in the future we can use ESP Home Bluetooth proxy.
I mean, that is definitely an option. I think, and that would be really cool. Then, of course, we would have to fight with Google, right? Because like the moment, if you have an Android phone and you plug in a Matter device, on your Google phone, you immediately get a pop-up saying, hey, we found a Matter device. Do you want to set it up? Do you want to add it to your home? Apple does not do that. So.
Maybe, yeah. It can be improved, but yeah. Everyone have a phone. You also use the phone for Home Assistant, so
right.
It's close to another app for just onboarding it. Or even you can start onboarding from a Home Assistant app, right?
Yeah. The Home Assistant app will trigger the onboarding inside your operating system of your phone.
So then it's almost the same, right?
So this release.
Sorry. I want to do this.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So Shay is asking, you can still add it even if it's added by Google, right? Correct. In Matter, every device can work with 5 fabrics, as they call it, and each fabric is part of like a coordinator. So Google is a coordinator of your home, Home Assistant is a coordinator of your home, and so that's 2 coordinators. They can both control the device. And the device will send out each state change twice. Once encrypted for Google, once encrypted for us. And this is all locally delivered. Oh, yeah. Pascal, go for it.
Yeah, I see some comments about database migration. So the new version migrate the database, which can take quite a long time if you have a lot of data. And make sure before you update Home Assistant, please update first the MariaSQL or the MySQL add-on if you use that. If you don't use the SQLite database.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
found
not,
there was a regression in the MariaDB. We found that has been fixed, and so we've pushed an add-on update that includes that fix. This mainly impacted, I think, querying the history. So as long as you don't query the history before you update the add-on, you should be fine. It shouldn't impact the migration. And the new data schema should use less data. Yeah.
definitely. It's not just the add-on, by the way. If you're using an external MariaDB on, I don't know, your NAS or something, be sure it has the right version, the minimal version. It just saves you a lot of pain in general. It's not a nice bug they have there. In the breaking changes section of the release notes, there's exactly listed which versions have been fixed in every minor release they ship at this point. So definitely check that out and make sure you have the correct version. And indeed, if, like Pascal said, if you have the add-on, make sure you update it.
Shall we kind of segue into Sky Connect? Is this like a...
Yeah, before we dive out of chip, there was some SDK version thingy updated or something.
Yeah,
It does-
the chip Matter, by the way, it's Matter now, but Matter released
Yeah.
1.002, I think. So it contains some bug fixes. We've pulled it into the add-on as well. So we are always kind of chasing the latest fixes for Matter and pushing that to our users as soon as possible. I mean, we have this fast-paced update cycle with Home Assistant, and we also apply this, of course, to Matter. There's a lot of stuff. The Matter world is also rapidly evolving. Given that like a lot of big tech generally doesn't move that fast, and with Matter there seems to be a lot of fixes, but that's also because it's early days. People are finding stuff, and as more devices get released, you'll find some small bugs.
Right.
Yeah. Good. So shall we dive into? So one part of Matter is like Matter communicates either over Wi-Fi to devices, or it is using Thread, right? So actually the Eve plug I just showed, not to be confused with the TP-Link plug. This is the Eve plug, the bigger one. It is this one uses Thread. So Thread is a mesh network. So think Zigbee, think Z-Wave, but it acts more like a slow extension of your Wi-Fi network because it's IP-based, and it can have different border routers, which is how Thread devices can communicate with Wi-Fi devices, Ethernet devices, things on your local network, and any device in your local network can also talk to your Thread devices. So it's really cool. Now, Thread is something that we want to support in Home Assistant. In fact, with this release, we can now opt in again to use it. It's called Multi-Pan. So if you're using a Home Assistant Sky Connect, which is our Zigbee stick, or using a Home Assistant Yellow, which is our hub that we sell, powered by a compute module, Raspberry Pi Compute Module 4. It has a chip supported in that can do Zigbee and Thread at the same time. If you use that chip, if you use either Zigbee or Sky Connect, and I'll explain a bit more about Yellow and Sky Connect in a second, you will now be able to add enable multi-pan as an experimental feature in hardware. So we don't do it automatically yet because it's still not fully stable. So it was actually we released it in December, and then after 10 days we disabled it again because there was some stability issues.
If you're going to show this, let me add like a really big caption here. If you go and do Paul's is going to show, be sure like, oh, you dropped off.
No, yeah, I was sharing the wrong screen.
Oh, so the multi-pan feature Paul has talked about, it's really highly experimental at this point.
Yeah.
So if you're running your production system on it, it might not be the best idea ever, maybe yet. But
there are some
could be
rough
really fun for testing.
Yeah. But it's also, fun, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, sure. If you're up for that. But
yeah. So just as you go to settings, you go to system, you go to hardware, you can see like I'm running a Home Assistant Yellow for this one. Nice Home Assistant Yellow icon. It shows my processor, memory usage. I click on configure, Now, this one is already enabled. This is where you would enable multi-pan, so you can run both Zigbee and Thread at the same time. If you hit this button, it will automatically migrate. So Zigbee will be temporarily down, will continue to work afterwards. And what you will get is that you will get a new add-on. So this add-on is automatically installed, it's automatically configured, you don't have to do. It's called Silicon Labs Multi-Protocol. So both Sky Connect and Yellow using a Silicon Labs chip for this, and they are providing some of the software. So part of this is an open web UI. This is OpenThread. OpenThread is the thread system that like runs the server side, so you can kind of manage your thread network. We are going to manage the thread network for you in the future. We don't do this in this release. And although you will run Thread, it's actually not integrated into Home Assistant yet either. So you can see the border router, you can see I can form a network if I would want. I actually don't have it set up on this one. You could go to device and services, look at, there's an OpenThread border router configured. And where is my thread? If you go to Thread, it just shows like, hey, I have an OpenThread border router. That's it. That's all that Thread does right now in Home Assistant. But with multi-pan, we plan on like pushing this to like, you know, the next beta, next nightly will do this. There's a question here, what if I want to use only Thread and not the Sky Connect? That's possible. So you can just not use the Zigbee part of the multi-pan. So it will expose like two, under the hood is like two different ports, virtual ports that are connected either into Thread and Zigbee. If you don't connect to the Zigbee one, you're fine. Now, I think I kind of glossed over like, what is Home Assistant Yellow? What is Sky Connect? I thought I'd like, let me just quickly take a step back. So there's two things here, Home Assistant Yellow, Home Assistant Sky Connect. Where's my screen? You know, I'm using Arc today for streaming and it's like not, I don't know which.
You're missing tabs.
One. This one.
Yep.
Yeah, but
Sharing tabs with Chrome is easier.
I know. I'm not sure what I'm doing today. Okay, I'm gonna share this other screen. I just wanted to share the Home Assistant website. So Home Assistant Yellow, that is our approach to a hub. So this is like powered by Raspberry Pi Compute Module 4. The good news about Home Assistant Yellow, this is a crowdfunding campaign from 2021, end of 2021, is that we have shipped 2,500 Power over Ethernet kits in the last month. So anyone that has a backer of the original campaign should have received now or is about to receive their kits. People that have pre-ordered up to a certain date, of which I do not know the date, has also received their Power over Ethernet kit. And we're making more. There's more on the way as well. So that is finally all shipping now. And that also means there should be, if you've been waiting for Home Assistant Yellow, you should be able to get your hands on one soon. There will be a batch available at Raspberry Pi DK, one of our distributor partners that we use. And we hope slowly in the summer or like as Compute Module 4 also get more available to deliver more of these devices. The other thing I kind of wanted to show while we're here for Yellow, in case you've missed it, I put it in the newsletter. We've actually open sourced Yellow. So of course we already had this cool documentation, but now all of this is also available on GitHub. So if you want the KiCad files, you want to kind of study how we did it, all that stuff is available. So you can, you could technically make your own as well. Here the design files. So, see, this is, now it's open a new tab so people don't see that I clicked on the button.
Nice. It's like a live demo.
It is kind of like a live demo, this browser. Okay, this works. I just have to put it into exactly in the URL bar. So yeah, nabucasa.com github.com/nabucasa yellow. You can see all the stuff. If you want to like look into how we've built this, I don't know. We have the PoE, the latest PoE revision. I don't think is on it yet. Hopefully, it's on there too. We spent a lot of time fine tuning, making sure all the emissions and all that stuff is like good. So you know, if you're if people are building a CM4 based device, this could also definitely be helpful. So this is the yellow, and now I want to just quickly go back. So this is the hub, should be available soon. Our other device that we're making nowadays is the Sky Connect. So both the yellow and Sky Connect are able to use Thread. Sky Connect is a USB stick. It's small because it's a USB stick. Oh, need to like block my face. Well, whatever.
In the box.
Cameras.
So you get also nice
Yeah.
nice extension.
Yeah, there you go. That's better. So the Home Assistant Sky Connect is a USB stick to bring all this magic that we put in the yellow also to like your Raspberry Pi or the Home Assistant Blue. The cool thing about Sky Connect is that it just works exactly like what you can do in yellow. So you can use it for Zigbee, you can use it for Thread, you can use it for multipan. This one is more available. So we had our initial batch should be the very first batch has been sold out. The second batch should be arriving at distributors. Excuse me. Around the world, there's even some new distributors coming.
It's the third patch, which is around. The second patch is already arrived.
Okay, yeah, and then we're making a third batch, which definitely by the summer, maybe a little bit earlier. We have no. It kind of depends on components, how long it takes. This is our current partner distributors that we're using to buy the Sky Connect. New entries in this list are HA Shop in the Netherlands, Smart Guys in Australia. The other ones have been with us for a bit longer. I see some people asking, can I use the Sky Connect with Zigbee to MQTT? The answer is yeah. So we're using the Silicon Labs uses the Ember ZNet protocol for their Zigbee stick, and this is a protocol that is marked experimental in Zigbee to MQTT. So they have been, there is some support, but there can be more bugs than Zigbee to MQTT is really working well with the Texas Instruments sticks. That's where they release their own firmware for.
Yeah, that's where they shine. But there has been quite a bit of progress on it because the same protocol is used by other sticks too nowadays. So there's more need for it in Zigbee to MQTT. So it's kind of cool to see that at least there's progress there.
Yeah.
But I have also to say, our SAT-HA integration got also a lot of progress, and we also employees they work on it. So there is a lot of progress every release.
So now I want to show something actually really cool. This is something that we haven't showed yet. We're going to show. We're going to do a big documentation update next Wednesday around Matter, Thread, Sky Connect, Multipan, Yellow, kind of a bunch of the stuff we're talking about today. But it's something I wanted to show because by having hardware designed by the Home Assistant team and running Home Assistant software by the Home Assistant team, it means that we are able to also do firmware updates for the hardware that we run on. And of course, you've seen the update entities. And we will be able to do these firmware updates inside Home Assistant. But sometimes you take your stick out, you're like, I need to do an update on it. Well, as you might know, we've done this in the past, we've done a lot of this work around for ESP devices. So if you go to, for example, Bluetooth proxies, you're able to install Bluetooth proxies right from here. You can, just using your computer, using your browser, Chrome browser is required, or like any Chrome-based browser like Edge or Arc. Plug in the cable, plug in your device, and for like a couple of dollars, you are making a Bluetooth proxy right from at home. You don't do anything, no extra work, no programming. It will configure the Wi-Fi, add it to Home Assistant, and you have Bluetooth. Now, we wanted to bring this experience also to the Sky Connect. So Nikita has been working on this, and I'm going to do a live demo. This is like a development version. This is not even the final UI. The UI is going to be more aligned with ESP Web Tools. But the idea is going to be that you will be able to connect to the Sky Connect inside your browser. the screen went really quick. A lot of this is more debug messages. They're going to be hidden, but like it can see it has connected to the Sky Connect. It found that it's running the EZSP firmware, this version. Now we're going to click next, so we can say, hey, install Zigbee. There's an update available, 7.1.3. Or I can say, no, I want to install the multi-pen firmware. Now, you don't have to do this, right? Like if you enable multi-pen in Home Assistant, this is done for you. But this is when people do it outside of Home Assistant. You can also upload your own firmware. But yeah, for multi-pen. So I'm going to just install right now a stick. So what's really cool is that this is actually powered by our Python package for called Universal Flasher. So this is a Python tool that Nikitai built that can speak many different serial protocols, so it can kind of detect which Silicon Labs chip are we talking to, and then query, like trigger the bootloader, query putting it into installation mode. Now nowadays there are tools available to run Python in your browser. So we running Python in your browser, we hook that up to the serial that is built, the web serial that's inside the browser, and so this is how we're able to do this. So now when I connect, I just installed the other protocol. So it should now give me the other firmware. Yeah, as you can see, now it's running CPC. Really cool. So yeah, we are now, with the Sky Connect, you can do do all this cool stuff. So one of the things that right now with multi-pen, you cannot switch back yet to just Zigbee, but with this flasher that we are going to release next week, you should be able to.
It's really cool. I remember I don't want to say names, but I was forced to update other Zigbee stick, and it takes me age to get the software for Windows and then get the right firmware and then use a command line tool for getting that stuff flashed.
Right. Yeah, so this should just make it really, really easy just to, have your USB sticks up to date. And the way we're going to release this is not just tied to the Sky Connect. So any chip based on like Silicon Labs, and maybe we can also add Texas Instruments to it. We haven't decided yet if we wanted that. Will be also added support for this. So this can become like a generic Zigbee installation module, which I think is really cool. All right. That was my little update on Home Assistant and Sky Connect.
That's quite a lot, actually. Which is awesome. That's not negative.
Yeah. Blake is asking, is there a Sky Connect backup strategy? The good thing is if you use Sky Connect with the Zigbee home automation integration in Home Assistant, there is just a backup button. It works for any stick that you use with Home Assistant for Zigbee. So that's either Sky Connect, or it can be a Texas Instrument or a Combi 2 stick. All right. Let's see.
Where are we?
Well, let me open. I can add your the release notes.
Oh,
back.
my screen. Okay. Yeah. All right. We can look what we missed. Oh, well, we missed a lot. That's in this screen already. It is like
There's
little,
so many new integrations.
right?
Wow.
It has, and this is not all, by the way. I scratched off a couple, but because it was almost impossible to fit. But notably, this release, besides Assist, which is the most notably in the left, top left, of course, I think Starlink is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
If you have like a Starlink satellite for your internet, it will provide you tons of data. I've seen a list. I almost forgot what was in there. I only know it was really impressive, like how the dish is tilted and signal strength, and I don't know, whatever else. So can imagine that is useful.
Somebody make like a video of like living on the road with his RV powered by Home Assistant, using Starlink for internet. Like,
Yeah, really darn cool.
that'd be cool.
Home is where your Home Assistant is, right?
Exactly.
Kinda, yeah. Basically, Gmail's cool, or Google Mail. The integration is called Google Mail. It provides a service for sending email or making a draft email. So you could like prepare automated things you have to send every month or something. I don't know. You can write automations for it. So that's kind of nice. And there's a switch to toggle your out of office or on vacation status kind of deal, like it auto replies. So you could maybe combine that with if you have like a vacation status in your home or vacation mode, could like hook that up and then automatically put your Gmail into like, hi, I'm not there. Kind of nice and interesting. We've seen a lot of energy integrations, which are all provided by Energy Zero. So Energy Zero provides Mijn Domein Energie and Energie van ons and AWB Energie, which is all Dutch. And they have dynamic energy pricing. So every hour you have a different tariff, and you can pull those into Home Assistant now and use with your energy dashboard. So that's kind of nice. Roofy is there. I believe you know what that does, Paul, right? It does a BLE as well.
Bluetooth buttons or something?
Yeah, and sensors. But I
Yeah.
believe it pulled in other BLE devices too over Bluetooth, like a proxy for advertisements. Wasn't that the case?
Is that so they were working on it. I don't know if it actually landed, but they were going to be a Bluetooth adapter. Yeah, they were going to forward all the discovery. Actually, I'm not sure if that landed.
Okay. And then I'm not sure either. I know there are BLE sensors that are pulling in from a gateway. It's a gateway. They
Yeah,
integrate.
no, they are. Bluetooth Roofy Gateway is a Bluetooth adapter. So it will be able to forward, like act like a Bluetooth proxy for Home Assistant. So this is something that they have, they actually opened up their API for us to work better with them.
That's cool.
So it's really cool.
You want to, I'm not sure if you're available, but OpenAI,
Right.
that's
So OpenAI.
not ChatGPT, by the way. Let's
Yeah.
put that out. Not.
OpenAI is a startup from Silicon Valley, which is kind of hot right now. They are the creator of ChatGPT, which it's not so much that it's like a very innovative model, but it's very accessible. So a lot of people have been going to chat.openai.com, and you can talk to a computer, and based on the language, based on the language you put in, it will like generate an answer based on like all the text it's been trained on. It's been trained on a lot of text on the internet, so it's not always correct, but it's definitely always. It sounds like it's correct, more like that. Anyway, they another model that they've also released is GPT-3, which you can actually have an API access to, which is cool. Now, what we've done is that we've added OpenAI as a conversation agent and assist engine in Home Assistant. So, we earlier showed our new voice features. Now, the voice features are by default handled by Home Assistant using the new intents that we've been building and gathering with our community. But if you don't like that and you want to try something else, you want to experiment, you can use, for example, OpenAI to give you answers and these kind of things. So I can give a demo. I'm going to use my HomePod. The reason I'm going to use my HomePod is because I've set up my HomePod to talk to Assist in Home Assistant. That's a feature that we support. If you want to learn how to do that, you can check the documentation. Well, let's see if this is actually going to work. I tried it before the stream, so
Is this OpenAI then?
yeah. So this is going to be powered by OpenAI.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is
Okay.
talking. My HomePod will talk to the Home Assistant app on my phone, who will talk to my local Home Assistant installation on this computer right here in front of me there, and generate the answer from the cloud and send it back. So, hey Siri, hey OpenAI.
OpenAI here. What's up?
Where is my Sonos speaker?
One sec. Your Sonos speaker is located in the kitchen. You can control it with the Home Assistant app.
Ta-da! So the way it works is that thank you. I've set up the prompt, like you give it some text, kind of to base like your answer up. So I told him like, hey, you're a smart home, you're called Home Assistant, and basically then, these are my areas, these are the devices in those areas, and then this is what the user is saying, and then it will say what would the smart home answer, and then that answer, that's what we're reading back through Siri in this
Right.
case.
So it can't actually control any of the devices itself, but it tells you, go use Home Assistant.
Yeah. There
Right.
are some hacks, and there's some people playing with it. Actually, the nightly releases and the next Home Assistant release allows you to customize the prompt, so you could like. I could actually maybe do that live. Just gonna do it live. I'm gonna do it live. We're gonna see how this, if it works.
So you can also answer internet question with OpenAI.
Not really, because it's trained on a data model that is like from mid 2021, I think. So
Shall I
I'm
change the
gonna.
stream?
I'm adding to the prompt. It answers like a pirate. So this is a Jinja template, right? So everything what has happened here is being rendered. So okay.
Why isn't there's a bug there?
Hey Siri, hey OpenAI.
OpenAI here. What's up?
Where is my Sonos speaker?
Error. Ye be looking for your Sonos speaker. It be in your kitchen, maybe.
So
That's
yeah,
cool.
I mean, like that. I mean, it's fun. It's not like, it's sort of like your Snoop Dogg, like all that stuff is kind of possible. So I'll do one more demo. You can change your prompt, right? You can just not give it any information, or whatever. You can ask it for stories, like because I tell it's a smart home, it will actually not go and tell you stories. It's be like, I'm a smart home, I cannot do that. Hey Siri, hey OpenAI.
OpenAI here. What's up?
Where's my Sonos speaker?
Your Sonos speaker is located in the kitchen. You can control it using the Home Assistant app.
Boring.
I think it filtered out the profanities.
Yeah, probably. It's Siri after all. You could ask it in assist, right?
Yeah. You can just go here also, like, how are you? I don't know if that's gonna.
Someone had asked earlier too if there was a service behind this. There's an API. Look in the conversation integration docs, and you can see how you can get to this from outside too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So it is more like a playful thing. So this configuring the prompt you just saw, that is not part of this release. That will be part of the next release. It got contributed too late during the beta cycle to include. So, but it's it's fun. So what you can do in Home Assistant is that right now you only have one assist engine. So it means that you either can control your home or you can talk to OpenAI. We are going to make it so that you can either set up a fallback, because OpenAI will always have an answer, being right or wrong, right? You don't know. So we'll be
Mostly wrong.
first
And
send all the text through our built-in intent, so we will handle control, and then if that doesn't work, we can fall back to ChatGPT to give just like random answers, tell a story or whatever.
to GPT-3.
Yeah. Oh yeah, GPT-3. Yeah, and then I just saw there's a ChatGPT API coming. You can sign up for the waiting list. So, and note that this is a paid service, right? So this is using this costs like a cent or something, or 2 cents. No, a cent, I think, per query. So.
A cent per useless answer.
Yeah.
Absolutely, right?
Anybody with kids will be familiar if you say whatever and they'll say something back. It may not be right, but it'll be something.
Yeah.
And
So if you
It has.
you can disable it and then like only enable it when you want it right now. That's how I would use it in this release. So you disable it, it will just use Home Assistant. And then the last thing I want to say about this is that besides OpenAI, you can also do this with Google. So that was in the last release. We had actually enabled Google. Should I show Google?
Yeah, do it.
Do it.
I like the Siri demo with Google. That's just
Yeah.
epic.
Makes
So,
you
I know you
roll
recorded a
things.
couple. Yeah, that's just.
All right, here we go again.
Google here. What's up?
Who made you?
At first, I was just an idea. Then a bunch of people at Google put their heads together, and now here I am grinning face.
Says the Siri speaker by Apple, which is amazing, by the way. That's just trolling to the max.
Was that was a clever pun there
It's
to
a lot
the
of fun.
max? Okay.
Yeah.
It's a shame that Cortana doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
Somebody should make like a button for just like in the taskbar of your Windows machine to like trigger assist. There must be some speech to text services in Windows we can use, right?
Yeah, there are.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, there's another thing in this release, by the way, with all the new integrations and stuff, which I find pretty darn interesting. Which is a product made by Highlink, which is the LD2410. I hope I got it right, top of my mind.
Oh,
Do you have that thing around still,
actually,
Paulus? I know you have it.
I just saw it in the chat. I completely forgot about. This is really cool. I'm just gonna
Ah,
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a wave sensor. So it uses whatever protocol or like whatever technology to do presence detection. What's so cool about this one is that it's $3.50 on AliExpress with another $3 shipping or $3.50. So for $7 shipped, it comes to your house. It has Bluetooth in it. So what is cool in this release is that user 1356789 number. I don't know his name. It's just his number, but he added support for this, and it's really cool because it works with the Home Assistant Bluetooth proxies. So you don't need to add like whatever you have a Bluetooth proxy in your house, you can use it. So I'm gonna plug it in. So this one actually I had to solder a USB cable to it. So it's so small, like it doesn't have an actual connector. I think they have some breakout boards, but then it costs more than $3.50. If you get it, there's like on the AliExpress page, which I will show in a second, it has like 5 entries or something. And I picked the one with Bluetooth. I think some of the other ones also work, but I haven't tried those. I'll quickly show the AliExpress listing, just so that.
It's also linked in the release notes in case you're looking for it afterwards.
Okay, yeah.
I can post a link as well. Let me do that.
This
Yeah.
small
So
PCB have Bluetooth on it?
Yeah.
So this is the device. The 5th variant says Bluetooth. That's what I got. Some of the others might also have it. So yeah, $3.50 and then $3.52 shipping. So it actually comes with an iPhone and Android app to configure the device, but you don't need it because it's all built into Home Assistant. And I'm gonna live demo that now. This demo I actually did not prepare, so we're gonna.
Oh, the other ones you did.
Yeah, well, in a way.
Do you have a Bluetooth proxy?
I have a Bluetooth proxy here. I have. Is it disabled? Let me just see. Yes.
Yeah.
Enable.
There it is.
Here's one device. So now it says it's clear detected. So now you can see it's detecting me. It is. Bdraco had a bug open. We had to do a debouncer here because it's like too fragile. There's a bunch of entities, moving target distance, detection distance. You can do a lot of detection. So apparently there's like 10 gates, and you can detect how much energy is being measured by those gates. These are all by default disabled because like a lot of these they're not really relevant. As you can see, the sensitivity is way too high here. I need to reconfigure it. But yeah, it's cool. It's cheap, so I'm looking forward to see what people are going to build with this. Like, it's so cheap, you can put it in your random projects, right? To kind of do something with it. And because it's wave, it actually goes through things. So I think you can just put like a plastic in front of it and it can go through it. So you can make like a hidden motion detector where like you have something with the eyes lit up of like, something.
I have
Or
a
you
couple of
can-
those. Go ahead, Pascal.
Or you can change the settings on that. Is there a settings entity or config entity?
No, so Well, there's a bunch of these things. I'm not sure what they're.
So
I can-
sensors.
I mean, that's
these are all
sensors.
sensors. Yeah. So then I guess there's no settings. The settings you need to use the app.
Hmm.
So
Some
and then
firmware
the
change or
app,
something.
it can only handle one Bluetooth connection. So you have to disconnect it from Home Assistant to make it work. Yeah.
It's a $4 sensor with $4 worth of like
Support.
probably not, but it's kind of cool. Like it opens up the gates to like cheaper devices in this section, right? Like Wave is pretty expensive still at this point, so I kind of like it to see a cheap device, and even it might not be perfect. It like opens
But
up
it's-
doors for something in the middle.
Yeah, it's really fast. I mean, the detection is really fast.
Someone asked what the range is. Paulus, have you tested that out?
No, it's literally been just sitting on my desk.
Oh, okay. I was just curious if you like tried it a couple feet away or something.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I just quickly opened the AliExpress website because Jesse Hills, he's in the chat. He just wrote me saying that the fourth one is the same as the fifth one, but it doesn't have the pins. And because the pins are really close by, it might be easier to solder a cable to the fourth one. And he says that the seventh one, which would be this one, has the regular pins, so it's easier spaced out to get like a cable on top of it.
For 3 extra pennies.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, you pay for it.
Hmm.
Starts adding up. Huh? Yeah. Here,
So,
everything Smart Home says he thinks it's 4 meters for Wave.
that's not much, but could be enough for like, I don't know, your
I mean,
restroom or
for
toilet or
$7,
something.
you can put your whole room like.
you can put a lot of them everywhere,
Like,
all over the place.
Room, yeah.
So for my ceiling lights, I have those Philips Hue ceiling lights. They actually are from kind of plastic, and there's a lot of space in it. So I'm actually looking forward to like install one of those Wave sensors inside the ceiling lights in the hallways and such. And then they're hidden, like you cannot see them, and they will just go through the
Right.
ceiling light itself. I think that would be awesome.
So I have a Everything Presence one as well, and like it has actually a PIR sensor. So you have a traditional motion sensor and an Wave motion sensor. And the reason it has both is because you need the motion sensor is faster. So you want it to right away trigger as soon as possible, which is where the PIR sensors are great for, and Wave is more for if you're sitting very still also, right? Like that is also where it really shines. So yeah,
Cool.
again, another demo went well.
all right, I get it.
Yeah, it went well.
And I even gave you a challenge with this Bluetooth
Yeah.
thingy. Boy.
So I open the release notes. I'm sharing your screen there, Frank.
Okay, that's fine. We only have the other noteworthy stuff here left, I believe, which has some interesting stuff in there. I think Alias is cool. Last release, we added Alias support for entities, which I'm really enjoying myself, at least. And this release will be added to areas as well. So you can add aliases to your areas, which is being used by Assist.
Yeah. So if you add a assist or an alias, assist will pick up on that, and so you can talk in a different language to it. So if you use assist on your watch or on your phone, it'll pick up the language that is set to that device, and so you want to make sure to have aliases in the language of that device as well.
Right. So I could like add TV room or sitting room or something to my living room area as well, and that will just work too, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cool. Changing units of measurement from the UI for energy sensors has been enabled. Finally, I think this is one of my personal wish list items too. I have one, my Solar Edge actually gives out watt hours while I'm interested in kilowatt hours. So I can now just change the unit of measurements on those entities and that will work. And for the lifetime energy, I could even change it to megawatt hours because that's probably, megawatt. That would be more interesting. So yeah, cool. That's there.
Oral-B, we got a new. You can actually check the battery now of your toothbrush, which is it's good.
It's
good.
the most amazing integration ever. Just got useful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this one because like we often forget to charge the darn thing. So when you're brushing it out.
Yeah. Well, the battery goes down faster if you have a Bluetooth proxy, because I think it requires active connection for certain queries. But if you just store it on your charger, it should be fine.
Right, maybe I should do that instead.
I found out that my neighbor have Oral-B toothbrush.
Now you can see their battery status and knock on their door.
Yeah.
Your toothbrush is gonna
Oh,
die.
you should charge it.
My long-term statistics tells me that you're not brushing enough.
You can use a derivative sensor, right, to track how long it's been on,
Yeah.
or to like or the statistics sensor, I think it's called, to measure how long something has been on.
Yeah,
Well,
like, hey, neighbor, we need to talk. Like last month, your average brushing time every morning has been way low, and I'm starting to smell it. Like that would be a weird conversation to have, actually. But that's cool.
4 to 5
Anyways.
minutes to use Home Assistant.
Oh boy. What else? Oh, Reolink. That's a big one, I think. Last release, Reolink was introduced to the core, and now we have support for binary sensors for all kinds of things, like motion sensors if it sees a pet or anything at all, or a person, or if somebody pushes the doorbell. If you're lucky enough to get one of those new Reolink doorbells, then those push buttons will now actually work in Home Assistant, which is really cool. It's all local as well, so that's nice.
Yeah.
Super nice.
Also
new this release, which we discussed last stream, Paulus,
right.
was the coolness of the local calendar and its features, but we were discussing that there was one missing, which was a service.
Yeah. It's really cool. You can use it. I mean, you can use your calendar now as a logbook in a way, right? Which then gets shown on your phone, which there's probably a use case out there. Maybe you want to track every time that you get to work and leave work, you can now add that to your calendar, for example.
Yeah.
That's really
Or
cool.
things like when the alarm was disarmed and we did, maybe you could like create a dedicated local calendar for it to track things like that.
Yeah.
Could be interesting.
And then because the calendar also feeds back into Home Assistant, right, as a trigger for automations and stuff. So it's like, yeah, that's really cool.
Yep.
Hey, there's a question here from Petrol, which actually I don't know the answer to. Maybe any of you know. Reolink is local polling. Are the sensors local push?
I believe the integration actually changed to become. Oh, it's marked local polling still. No, I think that's an error. I believe the sensors are actually binary sensors are push based. It registers webhooks to the camera or uses the OnFIV hooks. So depending on the camera, it will use either of those. So it is push as far as I'm aware. I think this is a documentation error. I will take a note and check it out and update if needed.
As I got my first Reolink, I opened a support ticket and asked for webhook support for motion detection because it was able to send emails, but yeah.
Yeah, just a quick intermezzo. Can you answer a question about the language of Assist? Assist uses the language by default that if you're using the Home Assistant UI to talk to Assist, it will use the language that your Assist is your UI is configured in. So use your UI in English, it will send in English. If you use the Apple integration through Apple shortcuts, you can actually configure the language. So you can say, hey, I'm speaking Dutch, I'm speaking French, etc. That's all possible. If you are, but you can also override it. So you can say, if you don't override it, it will use the language you configured inside Home Assistant. if you're writing your own scripts, like to talk, send text to Home Assistant Assist, you can actually pass in the language that the text is in, and it will automatically load the intents for the supported languages. And for the supported languages, we have a page in our developer docs, which I'm like 70% sure it's also in our main docs linked, but I'm not fully able to answer that right now. But yeah, there's 22 languages, and we keep as more people are able to use Assist, I expect this to grow faster as well.
Yeah, one cool little thing that's still in this list, which I think is like highlighting worthy merely because it annoyed myself, is that if you have a place in Home Assistant where you can select multiple entities, for example, you're adding devices to your energy dashboard, or I don't know, you're triggering automations on multiple entities, those lists will now filter out the entities you've already selected. So like it prevents adding duplicates or which ones did I had or not. Like that is a really small touch, but really helpful. I like that one, that little change.
No, that's very nice. Oh, talking about the front end, we've added, so until this release, Home Assistant had supported 2 variables officially for theming, your primary color and your accent color. You could configure them from the front end, from your profile tab. Now, there are more colors. So what happens is that we have officially added support for theming the state colors that have been introduced a couple of releases ago. And you can actually do this based on the domain, the device class, and the state. So let's say you want to distinguish a binary sensor that represents a problem, have it have a different color when it detects a problem versus having a binary sensor that detects if it's wet or not, have a different color. You can now separately theme those colors, and that's like an official thing to override. So what does it mean to be official? It means that we won't break it. It means that we will keep using these variables as much as possible in the UI. As always, if you use unofficial variables, and some people have been doing, most unofficial variables you can see because they're prefixed with like paper or MWC, these kind of things. They might break, they might stop using as we switch out components. So use official variables. Before today, only 2 variables, now also state colors.
Yep. All right. I think that's about it. There are some other small things. There's the breaking changes still, which a couple of them are worth highlighting. Especially Python 3.9 support has been removed. If you see this and you're using the operating system or a Docker container, then nothing's going on. Like this is not important to you. This is only important for people that are running Home Assistant old-fashioned in their own Python environment. They install themselves. Old-fashioned, good old-fashioned. Yes, we use it for development still as well, right? But yeah. So if you're running like how 95% of the users run Home Assistant, there's nothing to worry about. We've already taken care of it for you, and you've been running Python 3.10 since last summer or something already. So, yeah. But it's still important for people to know. The MariaDB is here as well, which is, well, be sure to upgrade. The version numbers are in here. It's important to do that. And like this prevents a lot of significant performance issues. So,
yeah.
Good. Do it. Yeah, otherwise it's fairly small. It's a lot, but it's like not that big of a deal. Matter is a big deal. Was mentioned already. You have to repair, but I don't think many people will have many devices. So pair all of your one Eve devices, and it will work again. And removal, one is interesting here, which is Almond and OpenALPR. Almond is kind of like a weird one. Actually, now we're doing all the file stuff and we're removing Almond. So I wanted to highlight this one a little bit because, well, it just like went off the earth. Their website is down, the services are down, it's gone.
The main PhD guy that wrote most of the code graduated. So
tale as old as time.
Yeah. So that's just yeah.
So while we could keep it there, but it wouldn't work. So we cleaned it up to avoid confusion and people like running into stuff. It's impossible to fix it either. So just remove for now, and may they return in the future and restore their services, then we can always look into restoring it. So
Yeah.
that's why it has been removed. And OpenALPR, the local, it didn't work at all for a long time, and there was zero usage and no reports either. So after the deprecation period, we have removed it.
Yeah.
Right.
Boom.
Boom.
New release.
Yeah.
Right.
Easy.
I'm happy to see what comes next month. I mean, we start already quite high this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, for
This
sure.
this sets expectations for the next one and the next one,
Right.
right? This is
Yeah.
going to be
Yeah.
right, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, by December, it's going to be flying cars and jetpacks to the moon.
So just we did Year of the Voice Chapter 1 last week.
Yeah.
That is not going to be every month, right? Like we need to have something to release, so we're not going to be like Chapter 2 and then like, oh yeah, we added a couple more languages. So every time we do like a stream, it's because we're having something cool to show. Yeah.
Especially for the assist stuff.
Oh.
By the way, in the blog post in the first chapter where all the assist stuff is announced, all the videos and presentations that have been done, but also the blog post about this like more extensively and all the features and some stuff Paul has demoed as well today is like laid out there, all of that. And super interesting to watch and fun too, actually. So must watch, I think.
I just want to highlight this comment. Antonio cannot find the chat button. If you are on your mobile phone, it's hidden in the ... menu. If you are on desktop, it should be right next to the ... menu. If you still don't see it, then you're probably on an old version of the front end. Look in the bottom left if there's like a reload button. Hit Control F5 or something like this, because you're using the front end from the last Home Assistant release.
The last possibility is that if you're remove the default configuration from your YAML at some point in history, then it would not be picked up, and you have to add the conversation module yourself, the conversation integration. However, if you have done that, then I would definitely recommend to just put back in the default config. The reasons to remove it from the past are no longer there in general. Just keep it there. We'll maintain it for you.
Look at the comments. Antonio had it was the default config. So yeah, add conversation integration to your YAML.
Yeah.
Is the audio still working like the old assist window?
So the old assist window used to that's just the same assist window. We've upgraded it now. The old one used to automatically enable the microphone. We no longer do that. You have to opt into the microphone, and we did that because it is a feature that's in browsers, but most browsers implement it poorly. So with Chrome, you would click the microphone button and it generally would work. In Safari, it would work half of the time. So you had to do some wiggling. On Arc, it would just say can't hear anything because they actually didn't implement the APIs behind it. They shouldn't have removed it. I think it's something that Google pays for when uses Google Cloud when they offer it to users. Right. And Arc doesn't have that backend. They just use Chromium. So yeah. Just here, Tika says the Android iOS app should add a widget. We have added a widget on the Android, on the Wear, the watches, and the widget. There's a shortcut that people can add if you link to a Lovelace dashboard and you add !conversation equals 1. It will open the conversation dialog right away. And they just added a watch complication to Android as well. On Apple Watch, it was already possible because you could add a shortcut to your complication. And then lastly, on Apple Watch, if you are running into a bug where you have to keep hitting allow to say, do you want to send this text to Home Assistant? This is a bug in shortcuts on the Apple Watch. And the workaround is to remove the Home Assistant app from your Apple Watch such that the shortcut is executed on your phone, which does not have that bug. So if you use the
Wow.
Apple Watch on your phone can also be used as a small UI to trigger actions. If you don't use that part and just want to use Assist, you can actually remove it from your watch. And it's also a temporary workaround. We hope that the Apple team fixes this in the next release. Yeah, what James saying, question mark conversation equals 1. This is also in the docs, by the way, for the companion app. Yeah.
I did
Right.
see some people talking about the way you have to speak to Assist. You have to be very literal and use your entity names. It's kind of dumb on purpose because the point was to be broad language support and not to try to have any kind of magic in it. So the goal is if you want to speak to it in a certain way, use aliases to make it if you want spaces, no spaces, all that stuff.
And then
So
we
the-
are going to add more sentences. If you notice that a sentence is not supported, definitely we have a link in the documentation. But yeah, come to our Intents repository or to our voice channel, and the language leaders will be more than happy to help you get that sentence supported.
Or you can add a custom one.
That's kind of the deal with this, right? We're shipping this in a pretty bare form right now, pretty basic like form. It can turn something on and off, and that's
You can do brightness color.
Yeah.
brightness, color, and words. So it is pretty basic, but it does 22 languages, which is not that basic, I guess. But this will give everybody actually the opportunity to use it, and we can all learn from your feedback and things you think that should be supported, and you can help contribute that. You can, like, even if you cannot code, you can go to the Intents repo. There's a discussion tab there where you can like discuss and suggest things and their experiences, and that way we can make it better together. That's what Home Assistant is all about.
And these sentences that we're collecting is not just for input. We're also going to use this as sentences to train an AI model to actually do better matching in the future.
So we'll be able to train a matcher and in the future too, some speech-to-text engines so they can run locally and be tuned to just the things you would speak to your Home Assistant about. Right now, as someone asked, the speech-to-text engine is whatever's on your phone, it's using that. So if you have Google, it's using the Google Cloud stuff, and Apple's using Siri.
It can just go better all the time. And instead a small group of our small team just built that. We use the power from our community, which everyone can help to build that. Like the translation. I mean, it's amazing how many language the user interface support.
It's
That will
crazy.
be the same for the assist.
Yeah, I probably speak the fewest languages of anyone on the Nabukasa team. English and bad English, as they say.
That's the American skill, right?
Yeah, we had when I was in elementary school, we had someone come by once a week to teach us 5 Spanish words. So at that rate, I still wouldn't know it.
Yeah.
All right. Anything other news, by the way, that you all do? You have something like I know Paulus had tons of gadgets.
I have a couple gadgets, but I want to highlight one. I have my screen sharing already set up because
not a demo.
last June or something, we had a Let's Get Loud event about music in Home Assistant, and it's where Marcel launched Music Assistant, and where we were talking with Raspy Audio, a company that makes not only Raspberry Pi based products, also ESP based products. And so they actually made the ESP Muse Lux, which is a speaker that can do Bluetooth. It runs Squeeze-Lite ESP32, which is a version of Squeeze-Lite. Well, forget about the name. It's a media player firmware, open source media player that does a few cool things. It does AirPlay. It supports Spotify Connect. It supports Bluetooth. And it supports Slim Proto. That last one is actually really important because the Slim Proto protocol allows us to send any URL, and it will play that URL. So we can use it for text to speech. We can use it for Music Assistant, all that stuff. Now, the downside of this board is that it had an integrated speaker, right? And so you had to use this device on its own to kind of do it. Then they also had a Muse Proto. The downside of the Muse Proto is that, well, this is a PCB, right? Like, sure, you had like a place, the green one, where you could attach your speaker, but it was also very, this is not a nice device. So Raspberry Audio has just released a new device called the MN Cast. So what the MN Cast does is that it has it has an audio jack out. That's actually the biggest thing. So you can put in an SD card, you can power it by USB-C, have an audio jack out that can also do digital optical output, and it has an on-off button. It has a rotary encoder, and it has a screen. So, for example, and I'm having it here right now, and we'll see. So the flickering is just because of the refresh screen of the screen versus my camera. This is not what you see in real life, but right now it's like playing Go Your Own Way, Remaster, and so this is playing through Spotify Connect. So you can, in Spotify it just says like the name of the device, MN Cast, I've called it. You select it as a Spotify output, it will just send it to it. But the cool thing is, because it's powered by an ESP, it is also can run ESP Home, which we don't recommend because the Squeeze Lite firmware is a lot nicer. But I am going to see if I can show it, because they use our tools to actually offer this. So this is like, we work a lot with Raspberry Audio. So you can select MN Cast, you can select Squeeze Lite to update to the latest version, you hit connect. You don't see actually what is, that stuff is not shared, but you can actually use ESP Web Tools, you'll be able to use this device. So this is actually really cool because finally there's a small device. I think, need to double check the price just to make sure. Yeah, $45. No, that's the wrong one. This is the
box.
This is the box.
Yeah, where's the MN Cast?
Well, awkward. It was. I think it's sold out because I tweeted about this on Mastodon, which is where I'm nowadays socially active on the internet, and so I guess it's sold out. But yeah, so this device, I think it's also around the $45 price, but it will be really cool because it means you can, turn on any old audio system can now be integrated with, for example, Spotify or Music Assistant to do anything you want. So yeah, I got this gadget. It's really, I'm stoked about it. And then on the front, there's like, you see the dots. That's, I think one is a microphone or can install a microphone. The other is like an infrared receiver, but that's not really used in Home Assistant. So yeah, I like the device a lot. It's cool. And the nice thing compared like this, such a device versus like smart speakers is that you can actually choose to like change out the audio gear without having to change out the brains. Somebody's asking for Apple Music support. Well, it supports AirPlay, so that's already there.
That's awesome.
That's a cool little thing. I'm still ashamed that the Google Audio devices are gone, like the Google Audio Cast. That's
No, for sure.
a good replacement.
And if you want a Google Cast really badly, you can like set up a Google Home Mini and have it over Bluetooth connect to a Bluetooth speaker. But then, of course, the audio quality will degrade, like, because it's Bluetooth.
There are some comments about Synology and how to run Home Assistant with the old Python version. So there is in Synology, there is it's a virtual machine manager which make it able to upload the OVA which we have, and then you can run Home Assistant in a virtual machine. Because then also with Matters, there are a lot of requirements for the operating system, so that will not work on Synology, also not on a container installation on Synology. So you are forced to run a virtual machine if you will run Matters as a thread with Home Assistant.
Yeah, they're really like Synology is such an old kernel version. I think isn't it like the kernel version itself is no longer supported. Like it's not a good foundation to run Home Assistant on.
That too, right? Yeah.
Right. What else is new?
I don't have much new. I did like I bought, which I think is kind of nice. It's on my desk. This is I bought a label printer. That's the most technical thing I bought this month. It's just like one of those label makers, and
Right.
it's yeah, it has one of those tapes in it, and you can label stuff in your home, and it's wireless, Bluetooth, and it has a battery in it, which I
That's
kind of
cool.
dig. I can just use my phone instead of like one of those weird keyboards to design
I've-
and print labels.
I've also searched the device behind me, but the battery is not
Yeah.
a good option. It's too short, so I just powered it on directly on the power source.
So, yeah, right. Oh well,
just saw-
I have no idea.
I just saw somebody's asking, does the label maker integrate with Home Assistant?
I have printed like 10 labels at this point. I received it yesterday, so I have no idea. Could be Bluetooth, maybe.
But I just saw that somebody did. There was a video. I'm gonna share it here. He has his shopping list of Home Assistant, and then he goes to his printer and it's actually been printed.
That's amazing. I used to work on Zebra label printers, like those the industrial ones that you put on like big factories and such. So I can actually like I wrote my own drivers for those down things, so I could integrate those, but I don't have them around. It is cool to do stuff like that, I guess.
Right.
This looks super slick.
Post
But yeah.
script, something like that.
GhostScript, yeah, that will work in most cases, but you still need something. But yeah, this is cool. Like just like organizing my home, not really home automation, but I can at least start labeling the boxes with the boxes of shame, as we used to call it, right? The automation stuff you don't use but still have around.
Or power plugs. That
Yeah,
helps.
Yeah,
power
okay.
plugs.
I have
Out and you
say like white IoT stuff, and then like I can use it for like decoration of like photos and stuff.
Right. Yeah, that's about it for me, I guess.
I got a Nuki version 3 to find out that it doesn't work with Home Assistant. I have to backport the API. Yeah. So it will be a bit more work than the idea was to put into to make it working. But yeah, maybe on the weekend I give a try and update the library.
It's always annoying, right? You buy something and you're like, oh no, now I need to like fix this bug I just noticed.
Yeah.
It's
Never had that issue.
I got some Shelly devices. I was going to try to do monitoring in my breaker box, but I don't think they're going to work. There's like some huge workaround you have to do for the US breaker box that I have, and I don't know if I might just try and get an IOTA watt instead.
Yeah, I like that device. It works really great.
I mean, the Shelly has a similar version, right? The one that you do put around electricity cables. I think it's called the Shelly 3EM.
Yeah, that's the one I got. There's something with the way I can't remember how many cables are coming into your house or something like that, and I have the wrong one, I guess, the wrong kind.
Because IOTA watt will have the same issue, right? Because it works the same way.
Oh, I guess it probably will, huh?
Yeah.
It would be nice if they just tell me the energy
I
usage.
mean, with electricity like that high voltage, just like don't touch it yourself. You should like
Oh yeah,
get somebody to change that stuff.
I know my limitations on that stuff.
Good.
My wife's actually the handy person around the house. She does all that stuff. I do the tech stuff.
Okay. Yeah, Shay is saying, Mike, there is no wrong one, and he tends to be right. So
Oh really?
yeah, ping him on Discord.
I will. All right, I appreciate it, Shay. I'll talk to you.
Yeah.
Label the label maker. I like that one. Haven't done that yet.
Oh yeah.
That's a good one. Print a label for the label maker.
Left side of
That's-
my label maker, right side of my label maker.
Label
Oh,
maker.
that's a good suggestion, sir. Good enough. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm looking for things to stick it on, right? That's that's another one. New stuff you want to use. All right.
I think that's it, right?
I think so.
Yeah. That's pretty
Yeah,
much,
almost
it.
hours.
Anything to spoil for March?
Faster assist. We just merged it today, 10 times faster.
Oh.
Rewrite of the parser.
It wasn't not instant already.
Yeah. And then what is it?
Wow.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the OpenAI can customize stuff, but
I really hope maybe if you look, I already noticed a couple of YouTube videos. A feature I hope for next release that comes back is precision. So if you look at some of the videos, YouTube videos, or the Home Assistant podcast that have been released prior to today, we have last minute pulled a feature from the beta because we had some like design concerns. So we're going to review that. But we're planning on adding support for setting precision for sensors. So you could like round them to whole numbers or decide the number of decimals. It kind of worked. It wasn't this beta, but we pulled it out last minute because of design concerns. But I hope it will return next release. So that would be nice to be able to like define the precision of sensors. So that might be a spoiler, I guess.
I like that features, by the way. Also the conversation between different metric system. That's really cool.
The unit conversion is cool.
Because I did the echo it, and then a lot of people say, "Oh, my count is like that, and this one, and it have to be this one." And then I converted Fahrenheit to Celsius, but for some it's too less commas or too less numbers after the comma. So I just plan to just forward all data like it is to Home Assistant, and then you can use all these new cool features to configure your sensor like you want. And I don't have any of this requests anymore.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really helpful. It makes it so easy.
oh, somebody just said like, hey, we should ask the AI to make label suggestions. So I just changed my prompt so we can actually try it out.
No way.
So
Oh boy.
hey Siri, hey OpenAI.
OpenAI here. What's up?
Give me 3 suggestions for names for my label maker.
1. Label Master. 2. Tagtastic. 3. Theme King.
I like Tactastic. That's cool.
Well, there you go.
Tactastic.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of the fun thing, right? Is that like, don't ask it like facts, but ask it like about like, give me the outline of a resume or give me whatever. So yeah, give me naming suggestions.
And that costs no 1 cent for that.
Yeah. Thank you.
And 2 cents for the label.
Yeah.
The Tachomatic. That's cool too. All right.
That's it, I guess.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Like, subscribe.
Like, yeah. Make sure you keep watching. If you like what we're doing, please subscribe to Home Assistant Cloud by Nabokasa. It pays like the salaries of the people you see here on the screen. A couple more. We run the Home Assistant project, the community. We try to keep everything going, support all the other people that contribute, and keep us up there in the top rankings of most active open source projects. So
Yeah, and Valentine's Day is coming up, so share the love.
Yeah.
That's an oldie, but still
That's-
it applies, right?
Goodie.
all right. Hey Siri, hey OpenAI.
OpenAI
Turn
here.
off the stream.
up?
Give a small speech to close down a stream or video. Oh, that was not good.
One sec.
Not really.
This is gonna be bad.
It's been a pleasure being here with you all today. Thank you for tuning in and being part of this stream. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I look
Wow.
forward to seeing you again soon. Goodbye.